So this is a challenging video for me because tarot seems way outside my wheelhouse. I am not a spiritual person or superstitious at all. I don't put any stock in astrology or any kind of divination. So in my mind, the Fablemaker's animated tarot deck here served two purposes. It is a regular, if beautiful, tarot deck for those who practice or want to practice tarot. And with the accompanying guidebook, it can also be used in your 5e games as a bit of a random generator of ideas. So I was considering just making this video about that second aspect, but in reading through the material, I have a few thoughts that I want to share about tarot in general from my perhaps somewhat unique perspective, as it really did surprise me. But first, a few bits of disclosure for you. This set was developed by our longtime sponsor, Hit Point Press, and they kindly supplied it to me to review. And also, in case it wasn't obvious, I have zero background in tarot. This won't be an instructional guide on how to do tarot, but I am sure there are a ton of those videos on YouTube. I will provide my thoughts though, and go more in depth into their application in your D&D games. So, with all that out of the way, let's bring some stories to life with the Fablemaker's animated tarot deck and guidebook. The first part of this video is going to be about the tarot deck and the practice of tarot in general. If you want to skip ahead to the section about how to use these or any tarot cards in your 5e games, use that segmented timeline down below me or the timestamps in the doohickey down below. Oh my god, toward the end of this video, I have a fantastic way to combine the mysticism of tarot with some modern technology to really make some magic in your TTRPG games, so please stay tuned for that. As we take a look at some of these really beautiful cards, let me tell you a little bit about their history. Tarot started as just a special set of cards used for playing games back in mid-15th century Europe. It wasn't until the late 18th century that they started to be used for fortune telling and divination. This particular deck here includes all the major and minor arcana cards, so 78 in total. And like all the animated cards from Hit Point Press, they have 8 frames of lenticular animation each and are waterproof. And of course, they are tarot-sized. Now, there are 2 books associated with this deck. The cards come with this book here, the Fablemaker's Animated Tarot Booklet by Misty Bourne. This 83-page booklet explains the practice of tarot using D&D metaphors. To use a deck in your D&D games, you'll want to pick up the separate guidebook, which we'll cover in just a minute. Tarot, in my limited experience, is about asking questions and using cards to guide your answers. The cards each have meanings, which are laid out for you in the books. Before you draw each card, you decide what it is going to represent. The number of cards you draw and what you decide they're each going to represent is called a spread. So let me give you some examples. You can do a simple problem/solution spread. First, we'll ask our question. So, why am I lacking in enthusiasm and energy? The first card we draw will point us toward a problem. So in this case, we have the Ace of Chalices here. This is all about creativity, so maybe we haven't done anything creative in a while. And we'll decide that the next card we draw can point us toward a solution. We have the 8 of Wands. This card is about travel and movement. So perhaps we need to get up and move, or maybe that's just going for a walk, or maybe it's just booking ourselves a trip to Mexico or something. You can make all sorts of spreads asking different types of questions and dictating what each card is going to tell you. Maybe the first card tells you something that you should be doing more often, and the second is something you should be doing less often. The number of possible spreads is endless. So first, about the cards themselves. When you read through the included booklet, you can tell that they didn't just choose card animations that looked cool. They focused on creating imagery that really enhanced the card's main and more subtle meanings. For example, this card here is the Hierophant. He's a person who interprets sacred mysteries. The word is from the ancient Greek words for the holy and to show. In this card, you can see the light coming down from above, reflecting off the crown of the authority figure here, and then off the heads of the others, implying that he is a conduit or interpreter of divine information. So yes, the artists here really seem to have taken a lot of care in the crafting of these cards. The last section of the booklet takes you through all the cards in the deck with their meanings and possible interpretations, and it's all very much steeped in D&D lore and tradition, as you can see here with the Hierophant. So here are my thoughts on tarot as a non-spiritual person, but also as someone with a mental health background. I can see tarot being potentially a really useful tool for introspection. While each of the cards has pre-established meanings, they're all open to interpretation. If you're going through some problems or you're feeling some kind of way, you can sit down with your cards, put the questions or the problems you're having into words, which is helpful in itself, and then start making card spreads. I think it can generate ideas, options for things that you can try, or just inspiration for activities or ways of thinking that might help you move forward. I can't speak for people who view divination or the supernatural differently than I do, but for someone like me, I can see tarot being like meditation and journaling as a tool to help someone cope and move forward. Okay, so let's get back to D&D and see what the Fablemaker's Tarot Guidebook over here brings to the table. Now, this hardcover 280-ish page book with gorgeous silver edged pages and a fancy blue and white ribbon bookmark is sold separately from the card set itself. And this book is all about using tarot in your 5e games, and it is also written by Misty Bourne. First thing, this book includes, I think, everything from the included booklet about the practice of tarot, and it goes through all the cards as well, but with expanded explanations and a section called Whispers from the Weave, which gives us clarifying questions we can ask ourselves for each card. Here is a section on the Hierophant from the guidebook so you can see the difference. It also guides us through more ways to use tarot in our real lives, with lots of examples on how to use it to problem solve and to just think through things that you're going through in your life. So I talked about spreads basically being a process of asking open-ended questions and then deciding what each card is going to represent before you draw it. The book lays out spreads you can use to enhance your characters' backstories and motivations. One example is exploring who your character is right now. The first card can represent the quest or the conundrum from your backstory that's currently on your character's mind. And then the second card can be what is the fear or need or oath that is preventing you from taking action. And the third is who from your character's past has your character hurt. And then the last card is what your character most wants right now. Then it walks you through a sample reading. And there are more spreads, like helping your character set goals. One of my favorite spreads, though, is a 7-card one helping you with character creation. You can generate things like your character's passion, their weakness, their defining life moment, their worst quality, and more. The book here also lets you bring your cards inside the game, like the Deck of Illusions and the Deck of Many Things. You get 2 in-game magic items, the Tarot Deck and the Fablemaker's Tarot Deck. And there's instructions about using the deck to enhance existing class features like the Barbarian's Danger Sense, or the Cleric's Channel Divinity, or the Druid's Wild Shape, and all of the core classes are covered. Most of the rule enhancements here grant you random bonuses depending on which card you draw. So for the most part, it's going to make your character more powerful, so you will need to chat with your GM about bringing it into your game. So that's all just for players. For game masters, they provide spreads to help you create fun stories and plot hooks, develop NPCs, develop encounters, plot your stories, generate background lore, and craft your villains. Just like with all the other sample spreads, they walk you through what each card slot designates and gives you example readings to walk you through interpreting your cards. There's a section showing you how to make each card represent a deity in your game, and each major arcana card represent an NPC. Plus a chapter where each card is a different room in a dungeon. You can just draw a card and create an entire dungeon of whatever size you want, with each room representing the card you drew for a very thematic experience. And finally, they introduced Nova, a fully fleshed out tarot-slinging NPC with a hefty, detailed backstory and story hooks and magic items and a very thorough CR12 stat block, or a CR21 one if she comes equipped with the Fablemaker's Tarot Deck magic item. Nova could serve as a powerful patron in your game, or maybe a possible antagonist, or, you know, both. To me, at least, one of the most useful types of tools out there is the idea generator. I previously talked about using ChatGPT, the phenomenal artificial intelligence program, to help you generate ideas and characters on the fly in the middle of your games. And unless you're intimately familiar with the tarot card meanings, I don't think you're going to be able to easily use the Fablemaker's tarot spreads on the fly unless your characters are just preoccupied with something else. But as a planning tool to use before your session or even before your campaign, it can be a fantastic tool to help you come up with new ideas that are really pulled from your own imagination with this book as a guide. It can also be a great tool to use at the end of a session to reflect on what happened and to plan what's to come. One thing I didn't talk about as much, but which some folks are going to find really helpful, is using the deck as a tool to help you reflect on how to be a better game master, a better host, and a better player. Again, it's walking you through a thought process, which can really and hopefully just lead to self-improvement. For a player, if you have a love for tarot or want a character who has a magical divination flair, this can be a ton of fun. And as just one player in a campaign, you probably would have time to make spreads during a game for yourself or for the other characters. And of course, the cards themselves are really gorgeous, and like all the Hit Point Press animated cards, they're just fun to hold and play. I think it comes down to whether you think it would be fun to combine tarot with D&D. And if you do, these cards in the guidebook are going to give you a ton of ways to do that. Okay, I was actually curious what you could get if you mixed tarot and ChatGPT, which feel like two almost opposite tools. I asked ChatGPT to generate an NPC for me based on a random tarot card. So we drew the Four of Swords, which is all about self-care, rest, and meditation. Here you can see what the guidebook says about it. So I put my query into ChatGPT, and this is what it came up with. Pause to read, but I was really impressed. Airless the Recluse, quiet and contemplative. And then I asked it to generate an event that might take place based on the same card, and we get this, a chance encounter with our meditative Airless the Recluse. So, practical applications, your party encounters a random NPC in a tavern. Have that player draw a card and either use the NPC information in the book or use ChatGPT to generate a character for you. The party is traveling, draw a card to see what they encounter. You can combine these tools to generate NPCs and story events, even magic items. Here is a freaking awesome longsword based on this one card. Yeah, you better believe that I'm going to be using these two tools in conjunction in my games going forward. It is just such rich thematic fun, and it is so bloody easy to use. Caveat here though that ChatGPT is currently free to use, but that may change in the future. You can see my overview of ChatGPT and how to use it in your games in the corner of your screen up there. Now, quick thing that you may be wondering, there are already two tarot-inspired decks that are pretty famous in the TTRPG realm. Curse of Strahd gave us the Tarokka Deck. For the record, they are different. So if you wanted to use these tarot cards as your Tarokka deck, you can, but it's going to take you some work. And Pathfinder has the Harrow deck, which is actually making a comeback in 2nd edition in the upcoming Stolen Fate AP coming out in the spring. And again, that deck is pretty different. So if you wanted to use your animated tarot deck in place of either of those, it is not going to be super easy, but you can probably make it work. The Fablemaker's animated tarot deck is on sale right now for $59.99. The guidebook is also currently $59.99, or you can bundle them together for $109.99, so $10 off. They also offer tarot-sized card sleeves if you want to protect your cards, though honestly they're pretty durable as they are, and any tarot-sized card sleeve should work. We have links to everything down below me here, and using our links helps us stay on the air and take care of our cats, so thank you if you use those. They're on all of our videos. I'm really curious to hear what you think about this set in the comment section down below. If you're passionate about tarot, tell me about it. And please feel free to correct anything I may have been mistaken about, because this is a whole new world for me. And thank you for watching today. Our Kobold plushies are very close to final delivery. It is a great time to pre-order them, as we do have limited quantities for our first production run here. So if you're interested, just visit koboldplush.com. Liking our videos and subscribing to the channel help us continue to grow and improve. And you can join the conversation on Discord, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Mastodon. For now, stay safe, have fun, love each other, and have a magical new year.